So here we are, week 11 of Marea and Friends, and we're here with Ariel Horowitz this week.
And this week is particularly special because we have been able to be really closely working with Ariel on this collaborative process of this episode, and actually I was able to make some socially distanced recordings with Ariel, and it's been really wonderful working with her on this episode because we're all together in New Haven.
Yeah, and so, well, first of all, Ariel, we've been at school with her for 2 years,
Yep.
And now we're all in New Haven, so it's pretty convenient. But a little bit about Ariel. Hailed by the Washington Post as sweetly lyrical, Ariel Horowitz cannot remember life before loving music. A recent graduate of the Yale School of Music under the tutelage of Ani Kavafian, Ariel previously studied with Itzhak Perlman and Catherine Cho at the Juilliard School. Prize winner at the Menuhin, Grimaud, Stolberg, and Klein international competitions, Ariel also received a Salon de Virtuosi career grant in 2017, the 2019 Brodess Earl Award in Violin from the Yale School of Music, and the Yale School of Music's 2020 Philip F. Nelson Award for Excellence in Musicianship and Entrepreneurship. Ariel is the founder and artistic director of the Heartbeat Music Project, a tuition-free music education initiative for K-12 students living in the Navajo Reservation. Ariel recently joined the faculty of Mount Holyoke College as a professor of violin and chamber music.
And Ariel also just recently won the Concert Artist Guild competition, which is an extremely big honor, and we feel really honored to be collaborating with her tonight on this episode.
Yeah, so we have a lot of exciting autumn-themed pieces for you tonight.
Yeah, and just a couple of little reminders before we get our program started. We have a link to purchasing our $5 optional virtual tickets for tonight's events. We all put so much effort, time, and energy into this creative process, and we really appreciate all of the support that we can get during this time. And then we also have a link to a survey below just to get some feedback from our virtual audience, because we are doing this for you.
So without further ado, let's get started. So here we are, week 11 with violinist Ariel Horowitz, and we are so excited to be here with you this evening. And it seems like, seriously, just yesterday, it was a year ago that we were playing
together in Yale Philharmonia for the Weber Bassoon Concerto and Scheherazade, where Ariel was amazing and played the most beautiful solos, and it was just a great time. And I also was thinking a lot about how much Ariel is just so compassionate and goes into every artistic project wholeheartedly. I mean, your artistry and everything is so it's really incredible. So I'm really excited for this. I've been looking forward to this one.
Nice things. I feel like you guys are like these superstars, and I'm like in this amazing Zoom call with these two beautiful, glamorous, elegant, incredible, talented women, and I'm so excited to be here, and I'm so excited to be included. This is super fun for me. Thanks for having me.
Oh my gosh. No, we're in the presence of a superstar.
Yeah.
So sweet. Oh my gosh.
I love the moons in the background too.
Thank you.
Moon.
Phases of the moon tapestry. It just reminds me that even if stuff is bad or if it's good or whatever, it's just a moment in time, just
I love it.
Phase of the moon, moon can't be full all the time, right? Neither can we.
And I mean, that also goes with our theme of the autumn too, where we're in that season that's changing. The trees are letting go.
Yeah.
That wind energy. Yeah.
Ready to just shed the things that are no longer serving us, and just, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful time.
The first piece tonight on the program is Niccolò Paganini's Tre Duetti Concertanti for violin and bassoon, and this is one of Paganini's not as well-known works, but it is very, very fun to play, and I have had an incredible time working through this piece and getting to bring it to life with violinist Ariel Horowitz. And it is a very vocal duo, and it really has a dialogue throughout the movements, and the violin and the bassoon are trading back and forth very similar lines throughout the piece. And Niccolò Paganini is obviously very well known for being an Italian violinist and writing some of the most virtuosic pieces for the violin. So it has really stretched me and my abilities and learning how to try to make the bassoon honestly try to sound like a violin. And I, as an artist, really love playing with musicians such as Ariel on this concert and with Amelia on every week, every day, with artists that really stretch me to grow and make my instrument turn into something that I did not know that it was possible to be. So I think that you'll really enjoy the operatic elements of this duo.
So back in 2017, I was going through a really hard time in my life. My mental health was not super great. I was struggling a lot with my eating disorder. And I started thinking about the ways that we find ourselves to be alone. And aloneness is something that I think is incredibly universal. Of course, people have varying degrees of aloneness and varying degrees of experiencing othering. And I've been protected from a lot of those as a white woman who is relatively abled. And I started thinking about the idea of being alone but not being lonely. And it was really comforting for me. And I remember I was in a practice room at school one day, just kind of messing around with some B major 7 chords and just kind of repeating my mantra, which was, I am in solitude, but I'm not lonely. And I loved that. I loved feeling that energy, and it transformed into kind of a song. I didn't really share it with anyone for a while, and then at one point things started to feel a little bit lighter for me, and I finally shared it for the first time with actually a pretty big audience in a recital, back when concerts in big spaces with lots of people were a thing before Corona. This song has transformed so much over the years, and I found myself coming back to it a lot actually during this period of quarantine because of the coronavirus. I think all of us are struggling so much with the degree of solitude that we're now finding ourselves in. We can't reach out to hug people. We can't shake people's hands. It breaks my heart to see walking down the street that people just have to skirt around each other. It's so unnatural and inhuman. We need each other. We need community. And I came back to this song and it had a hugely renewed meaning for me. And I've been playing around with it a lot. And as I was putting together this application, I realized that I had actually recorded this song just kind of as an add-on piece for a bunch of other pieces I was recording, not really thinking much of it. And I listened to it, and I had recorded it before the coronavirus, and it had so much hope to it, and I was feeling so lonely at the time that I just started crying. I couldn't handle how lonely I felt. And those words from me in 2017 when I was struggling so much came back to me, and I just started kind of repeating that same phrase. I'm in solitude, but I'm not lonely. And I found that comfort within myself, and I found that I could be my own support, and I could be my own best friend, and I could give myself hugs even though I was missing them from other people. And that felt really special to me, and I think that was what inspired me to want to share this song at this time. So I hope that you too, whether you're in solitude or not, find comfort in your own company, and that you can be your own best friend even when it seems like no one else is. So this is Solitude for Violin with Voice.
Solitude, wondering who to be. I'm watching, I'm listening. I see things I don't understand. I'm not a little girl anymore. Yet most days I feel like a child.
but I'm not lonely. I am in solitude, but I'm not lonely today. I am in solitude, but I'm not lonely anymore. I'm growing. I'm changing every day. And maybe, yes, maybe, yes, maybe. That is enough for That is enough for now.
In these really difficult times, it's also really beautiful to look back and think about how you started your instrument and how far you've come on your journey and all these phases. So we were just wondering if you could tell us a little bit about how you started playing violin and just some of your influential mentors and just what you're up to right now, which some really exciting things always, but yeah.
Yeah. So I was just realizing with my mom that I have been playing the violin for 20 years, which is
Crazy.
wild because like I
Yeah.
don't think I've done anything for that long, except play the violin. Yeah. It may except like be a person, but I still don't know how to do that. So yeah, I started playing the violin 20 years ago when I was
Oh my
4,
God.
and a family friend of ours, you guys know the like baby Mozart video,
Yeah.
baby
Yeah.
Einstein, whatever it is, baby Bach, baby like,
Yeah.
you know, there's these like little electronic toys that dance around to music, right? And like little kids go crazy for it. And they're like, oh my gosh, colors, man. Like, yeah, a family friend of ours gave me baby Mozart. And I was obsessed with it. And my family was not into classical music whatsoever. I mean, they didn't dislike it, but you know, just wasn't really their thing, you know, like
Yeah.
okay, cool, orchestra, like nice. No, you know, deep passion for classical music or anything. So I think one day we were in a traffic jam, and the only station my mom could get on the car radio back before we had like Bluetooth and aux, you know, back in the day, in the 90s. And the only station she could get was a classical station. She's like, okay, like whatever, we'll like put this on and just chill. This was like literal standstill. And supposedly, I have no memory of this. Yeah, supposedly I started just like humming along with this one piece. And my mom was like, how does she know that? Like, how does she know that piece? And I was like, oh yeah, this is the part of the movie where the dragon comes, Mom. Like, wait, how are you like? And then the piece ended, and in the baby Mozart there was a continuation of it, and I just like kept singing it. And she was like, oh, like maybe she's into music. And then I think I asked her, I was like, what is that? And she's like, that's a violin. And I was like, cool, I want that. And she was like, cool, you're 4.
But then she got you one.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I bugged her a lot. I mean,
Oh yeah.
yeah, anyone who knows me knows that I am a annoyingly persistent personality. And I think that started in childhood. My mom was like, okay, like, you know, little kids want a different thing every week, right? Like, this week, I want a dinosaur. This week, I want to be president. This week, the violin. Like, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to turn into an asparagus. Like, kids, you know, kids don't. So I think she just figured it was just like a, you know, 4-year-old kind of whim. I was excited about it. But then I was like, no, Mom, I really, really want a violin. So, like, my first violin was like this big.
Oh my goodness.
And I just kept, like, you know, vibing with the violin. And then I went to college, and I went to Juilliard, and I had the really, really tremendous honor of studying with Itzhak Perlman while I was there, which was, I still can't really believe that that's a thing. Like, I say that out loud and I'm like, what? No, that's fake news. But he's such a, like, I don't know, for how famous he is, like, he really could get away with not being a nice person, right? Like, I mean, you know, we all know very famous people who maybe aren't the kindest human beings because they let their fame get to their head, but he's just such a, like, genuine, kind person. And I think that made such a huge impression on me as a young person, because I was like, you know, like, no matter how famous you are, how important you are, or whatever, I mean, all of those delineations are kind of silly anyway, but like, the most important thing is to be a good person. And then I think that really continued for me when I got to Yale, where I met you lovely ladies, and my incredible teacher, Ani Kavafian, who is like, I mean, I have 2 moms. She's like my 3rd mom. And she's incredible. And, you know, also just this, like, incredible, dynamic, wonderful musician. And just, you know, she's so sweet. Like, you see her in the student lounge at Yale, and you're just like, oh, like, she could be anyone's grandma, you know, like, you don't associate her with this, like, huge career that she's had. Like, she's just like, oh, did you eat enough today? And you're like, bless your heart, Ani. Having mentors who were just really grounded human beings, like, really, really shaped me.
This week is a little bit different on the Marea and Friends concert series because this is the first episode where Amelia and I are not playing together on a majority of the concert, and this is a really exciting night because Amelia will be playing some works for solo oboe by Alyssa Morris, and she will tell you about it. But it's really exciting for me to watch how talented Amelia is as a solo player as well as a chamber musician. So I think you're going to really enjoy.
Yeah, so this next piece is an etude in Alyssa Morris's Collision Etudes, which is a collection of 6 different etudes, and this is the first one, and it's called Summertime, and it's based on a painting by Mary Cassatt, who is an American painter, and she's famous for doing a lot of paintings of mothers and children, and this painting in particular, I'll show a picture of it, but is a mother and a daughter in the summertime on the lake, and hence the title Summertime. And this title also refers to George Gershwin's famous tune Summertime, and a lot of the harmonic structure in the etude is comes from sort of the whole tone scales that Gershwin uses in his tune Summertime. So I hope you enjoy. you recently won CAG, the Concert Artist Guild,
Yes, I
which
did.
congratulations.
Congratulations,
That's
that's a huge
my-
deal.
No, like it's so funny because people say that and I'm like, I won CA, me won CA.
No, you're so deserving.
So, yeah, and also to people that
Fine.
are not familiar with what CAG is, could you just describe a little bit about the organization and how it's going to
Sure.
also like further your career as a violinist and artist?
Yes, absolutely. So CAG stands for Concert Artists Guild, and they're a New York-based nonprofit organization that manages young artists at the start of their careers. I would say how it's structured is more like management and mentorship.
Mm.
So CAG is like responsible for, getting their roster artists engaged with presenters who like put on concerts and, all that kind of stuff that you would typically associate with like a managerial relationship. But one of the cool things that we're doing this year with the new class of winners, and actually with some of the winners from last year's competition cycle, is we're going to be doing general artistic development workshops. Like I was looking at the schedule, we're even going to have one on like stage presence and like how to carry yourself on stage, which I know in other disciplines, like I used to dance as a kid, and you think so much about like being in your body and presenting yourself and like feeling comfortable in your physical self. I feel like we don't, maybe you guys as wind players do a little bit more than we do as string players because you have to engage with your breath. So like for me in my musical life, like that's a session I'm particularly excited for because I don't know, I feel like I just kind of like amble on stage and I'm a little bit awkward of a person. I'm technically what they refer to as an ambassador prize winner. So they manage me as a violinist, and they also offer project support for my organization, the Heartbeat Music Project, which is it's really great. It's really like it's only been a few weeks since I found out the news. It was really funny. I feel like they did like a Facebook Live announcement.
Yes.
And I like just started ugly crying when they announced it because I was so surprised. Like I don't know, it was so surreal. But I feel like people thought that maybe I knew in advance, or maybe I had gotten an email a couple weeks, because like sometimes with all the like they'll be like, hey, like don't tell anyone, one, shh. But like we found out along with everybody else. Like everyone was watching that Facebook Live and like, oh my gosh, Ariel, you must be so excited. I'm like, I am crying right now. Like I don't know how to feel.
That's so awesome.
Those are like the moments in music though. Like I feel like those moments, like the longer that you keep playing, like those moments where you're like, you're ugly crying, or like you're beside yourself and like so joyful, like, oh my gosh, like this is what I do, this is my life, like this is so exciting. Like those come like few and far between. Like I mean, obviously every day, like we love what we do. We're all here because we love what we do. But I mean, those moments are just like,
absolutely. I mean, I don't think I felt like that intense.
Yeah.
I like got into college.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, like I'm not gonna just like be sitting at home as a young adult. Like I'm gonna go somewhere for school. Like it was I'm still, wrapping my head around everything and like, grappling with the excitement that I feel and like realizing like, oh my gosh, like this is a real thing. Like I have to like, prepare to show up fully for it so that I can welcome it fully into my life. Like it's very fresh and very surreal, and I'm still processing it all. It's super super crazy.
No, it's great to get like news like that when I feel like we've just been getting bad news after, or like things being canceled, and then like something like that.
4 years ago, I was invited to the Navajo Nation to teach music to a group of 7 and 8-year-olds, and I had no idea at the time that us playing music together and sitting in a circle and laughing and just enjoying the time together would transform over 4 years into the most beloved and, to me, crucial part of my artistic mission, the Heartbeat Music Project. The Heartbeat Music Project is a nonprofit organization fiscally sponsored by Roadwork Center for Cultures in Disputed Territory. We provide tuition-free music education and instruments to Navajo youth in grades K through 12. And it's so important to us to keep our mission completely tuition-free. Music education is one of the first things to be cut from public school budgets across the country. However, on the Navajo Nation, there's even less access to opportunities like this because of the systemic racism that keeps Indigenous people from accessing opportunities and resources across the country. And of course, this is a hundreds of years long travesty. So when I was getting started with this whole thing, I realized very quickly that first I would need a really incredible team of Navajo leaders and creative thinkers to really shape this work and let me know and hold me accountable when I inevitably got a lot of stuff wrong and still do get a lot of stuff wrong. But even more than that, I realized that I wanted to showcase Navajo music to our students in their curriculum. Seeing representation in the music that you're studying as a young musician is so important. For example, for our students, for them to enjoy Navajo music and learn Navajo music means something special in a way that while they enjoy the music of Bach and Beethoven, it might not connect in the same personal way. So this is how I found the music of Raven Chacon. And immediately when I was, just researching on my laptop a few years ago, I was completely blown away, and I had my perception of what Western classical music is supposed to be and sound like altered and shifted. I had never before heard such an exploration of time, of proportion, and of sound. Those were the three things that really struck me. And I remember I played the recording of Raven Chacon's piece Lats Ada, which is a piece that I'm going to be playing for you in just a moment. I played this recording for a 6-year-old student of mine who was maybe on her 3rd violin lesson. I just wanted to inspire her a little bit and be like, hey, this is what you can do on the violin. Look at how amazing the sound can be. Look at how many different sounds and colors you can have. And we listened to the whole piece straight through. She had an incredible attention for it. And when we were done, she looked at me and she said, wow, that sounds like the wind outside of my grandma's hogan near Shiprock. And it's funny how kids have such a knack to be able to just see the truth in something. And for me, I've actually carried her interpretation forward with me as I've learned this piece. I had the great opportunity to play this piece for Raven Chacon, and one of the things that we talked about is that no two performances of this piece are going to be exactly the same. You'll see a number of different bowing patterns. For example, there's a circular bowing pattern, there's a figure 8 bowing pattern, there's one that I lovingly dubbed the snail bowing pattern, which kind of makes a shape like a snail, like that. You'll notice that there's actually no time signature and there's no measures. So notes are spaced kind of proportionately, and it's up to the performer to decide when to move on to the next note or when to end a phrase in terms of the actual timing of each phrase. So it places a lot of responsibility on the performer, which has been a challenge for me. It's really expanded my capacity to think creatively. And it's also been a great opportunity to learn a piece like this and to discover and to explore ways of thinking about playing the violin that I don't normally get to. So I feel incredibly grateful that I get to play this music. I'm so grateful to Raven Chacon for writing this piece and for advising me on it. And I really hope you enjoy it. This is Lats Ada by Raven Chacon.
So you mentioned a little bit about the Heartbeat Music Project. So if you wanna like tell us a little bit about what that is.
Let me just switch hats really quick and turn my nonprofit self on.
I love it.
Collected and composed. Okay, so the Heartbeat Music Project is a nonprofit organization that was founded in 2016 by yours truly. And we provide tuition-free music education and instruments to young children in grades K through 12 who are living on the Navajo Nation. And this has been a labor of love for the last 4 years. It started very, very serendipitously. And it just sort of, sometimes the best things just kind of like fall into your lap and you're like, oh, this is such a blessing. And that's very much how this was. I, at the age of 19, was not thinking to myself, like, I am qualified to run an organization. Absolutely not. And still am not. And it is miraculous to me that people trust me with their children, because I don't trust me with myself sometimes. And it's incredibly nuanced work, and especially the more responsibility I feel as a white person in this role. There is a 400-year-long history of European colonization of this land, and we are all who are not native are on stolen land, and indigenous genocide is something that still happens to this day. And actually it's Native American Heritage Month this month, so it's like perfect that we're talking about this. And I also don't want to only speak about the Dene people in relation to the trauma that white people have inflicted on the Dene people. There is a culture that is thriving and that is evolving and that is amazing, that is still very much in existence. And it's a tremendous responsibility to facilitate a project like this, especially as it pertains to Western classical music. Heartbeat started in my brain because my mom was working on the Navajo Nation at the time, and someone was like, well, yeah, wouldn't it be great if we had a performing arts program? And my mom, she's so cute. She's my biggest fan. She's like, my daughter goes to Juilliard. So it was a perfect moment where my life could have gone in one direction, and it just, went into this other beautiful place that I could never have dreamed of. But I would be remiss if I didn't mention Sharon Nelson, who is she's the real backbone of Heartbeat. She is, she's become like an auntie to me. She is an incredible Dene cultural knowledge and language expert. And she, her vision really has, she came on with us in 2017. And I don't think we could do Heartbeat without her. I mean, I really, at this point, my role is just what Sharon and what our Dene team dream of and want and hope for. I just try to get the resources together to make it happen and get the talent in the room and stay out of the way, and I think for white allies, I mean, it's a complex role to be in, because of course, we can never speak for a marginalized community, I mean, it's incredibly complicated, but we can use our platforms to, get resources together that maybe we have a different level of access to, and then just take a nice old seat and just, let things happen and let things speak for themselves. And I'm so lucky to have, surrounded myself with the team that I have, and I get it wrong a lot. And I'm very grateful that I've had the opportunity to be held accountable in those instances, and that I've had the opportunity to, grow from those instances. And it's an evolving process. I mean, there is no perfect way to do this work.
It's so wonderful to see how absolutely radiant you become when you talk about Heartbeat. Because, I mean, obviously we're going to talk about a wide variety of topics tonight, but just seeing how passionate you are, and it's just enriches your artistry so much. And So wait, could you also like maybe like tell?
Well, gosh, okay, there's so many. It's so hard to pick.
Yeah.
And all of these kids, I mean, I could I come back to we have this one little student named Aspen, and she is just an amazing young lady. Like all of the kids are amazing in their own special ways, and she's no exception. I've known her since 2017, and she was 7 and I was 20, and now she's 11 and I'm 24. So in this kind of beautiful transformational way, I feel like in a way I've grown up alongside these kids, especially the ones that, you know, keep coming back every summer. In 2018, I was really, really lucky and got to perform the Mendelssohn Concerto with the Santa Fe Pro Musical Orchestra. And of course, that's in such geographic proximity to the Navajo Nation that I got in touch with a bunch of the parents and kids, and of course with Sharon, and was like, "Hey, I'm playing in your hood. Do you guys want like comp tickets so I can, you know, help get you guys here?" And you know, Aspen and her grandmother are so they're so sweet, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna come and we're gonna go to dinner after." And I was like, "Oh, so exciting, so special," because you know, Aspen came, and to be totally honest, there were 2 nights of the gig, and the first night, like, I didn't think I played that great. I played okay, but it wasn't, you know, the second night ended up being I was much more proud of artistically. You know, it is what it is. Like you don't always it's not always your best, and I guess, you know, I mean, we all have learned how to not let that bother us so much. I mean, at this point, sometimes I'll mess up something and I'm like, cool, nice. Good vibes. Aspen came backstage after the concert and she was like, "I'm going to be a professional violinist." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And like from that moment, I mean, she became so serious, and we were able to get her an instrument. We were able to connect her with a local teacher. And she is like, I mean, she probably practices more than I do at this point, to be totally honest. I mean, that little girl, she is so dedicated and so hardworking. She recently was, we just got her a full-size violin, and it was so exciting to like, you know, see that happen for her and, you know, hear the difference in her sound on, you know, like from a student violin to like a, you know, like a big girl violin. It was great. We had a fundraiser concert this summer where a bunch of the teachers performed, and we asked Aspen and a few of her buddies to play as well. And like, she sent me her video for the concert, and like, I just started crying, like, not even because of how great she sounded. She sounded fantastic, but like, it just, you know, I mean, they're amazing kids, and they're, you know, when you see them playing and hanging out and, you know, just vibing, like they're normal kids. And then you remember the context, and you remember not just the socio-political context that, you know, we're all existing in this work, but even just the individual context of some of what each individual child goes through. And, you know, so many of them have had to overcome so much that I will never experience in my lifetime. And they're half my age, sometimes even a third of my age. Like I want the world for her, and she deserves the world. And, you know, all of them do. I speak about Aspen because I've known her for so long now at this point, and I wasn't expecting any of the kids to get so serious about music. Also, that was another thing where it was like, okay, now I have like this, you know, 11-year-old who's like super serious about violin. And I'm like, okay, how do we make this happen for her? You know, I mean, it's her time, you know, it's her time. And it's so special.
So in week 11 of the Marea and Friends concert series, we have kind of decided the theme of transforming. And this can apply to many themes, as there are a lot of changes going on right now in our world. But one of the things in our last 2 selections we are focusing on is autumn and the change of the leaves, the changes of the seasons, and just kind of the wind energy that blows around during this time when everyone just kind of has this bit of, I don't want to say anxious energy, but there's just a lot that is changing and
Transforming.
Absolutely. We finish each other's sentences now. Week 11. That's what happens. So much time together.
Anyway.
Get back to the music.
So as I played the oboe solo Summertime before, and as we're talking about transforming and the change of seasons, I'll now be playing another one of Alyssa Morris's Collision Etudes, and this one is titled Autumn Leaves. And first of all, Alyssa Morris is the oboe professor at Kansas State University, and this etude, Autumn Leaves, is based on Georgia O'Keeffe's painting Autumn Leaves, which I will show a picture of at this moment. And this tune, Autumn Leaves, is a very famous jazz standard, and it was originally written in 1945, and it's been recorded by people like Miles Davis, John Coltrane, and Chet Baker, just to name a few. And this oboe etude sort of takes different excerpts from each of these arrangements and transcriptions and sort of puts them all together to create this beautiful oboe solo that Alyssa Morris has written. So I hope you enjoy Autumn Leaves. So, like, social media
Oh no.
is an interesting thing these days. I mean, it's like totally, I feel like changed so much literally in the past like 7 months too.
Yeah.
But yeah, as an artist these days, how, I guess if you could give advice on sort of how to maintain like your authentic self while like on social media and I mean, yeah, I feel like just that part of what I was going to ask is actually just really difficult for like everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hard. I mean, I was thinking about this because I was actually talking to some students about it. And, we live in this world, whether it's on social media or off, where technology has become this astounding force in our lives. And I don't want to assign goodness or badness to it because it just is
Yeah.
what it is. I think that um, on the positive side, I mean, I have met some of the people who I am closest with in the world through social media and through the internet. I mean, for example, a colleague of mine now at Heartbeat, who I work tremendously closely with, Renata Yazi. She's a Dene musician, pianist, ethnomusicologist. She also was a chemistry major in college. She's amazing, and we've actually never met in person, but we are incredibly close colleagues, and that connection would never have happened through Instagram. But on the other side, I mean, you think about even away from social media, I mean, commercial recordings and classical music are so highly edited that it's a standard that live performance can never measure up to. And I teach college, and I have some pretty serious students at Mount Holyoke, and sometimes they'll be playing and they'll sound so gorgeous, and then like one little note is not like absolutely pristine, and you just like the whole energy shifts, and they just like get bummed out because the way that we approach making music now is like, okay, how many notes can I get right, or how perfect can this sound? And of course also that's heavily influenced by audition and competition culture. The level of music playing, regardless of whether you're a string player, wind player, singer, pianist, whatever, it's so high, and there are so many highly qualified people that I think a lot of panels try to search for consistency and technical perfection, which I think is actually the least interesting part about a musician. At least for me. I mean, the performances that I remember, and we've all heard so many concerts over the years. The performances that changed me, that brought me into a different place, were not necessarily perfect performances. I mean, there is no such thing, of course. It's live music. We're all just little mere mortals, just doing our best. But yeah, and I think what's possible through technology is inspiring, and it's also unrealistic. And I think that aesthetic translates very much into social media and into how we, especially as classical musicians, engage on social media. And I think, before the coronavirus, people had very highly curated pages, very professional profiles on, be it Twitter or Instagram or YouTube or, any platform that people might use. We're already such a, internet obsessed culture as it is, for better or for worse. Our lives were moving online before this. And I think we just, accelerated a number of years. I mean, a year ago, I would have never dreamed of having this kind of conversation over Zoom, for example,
Really, yeah.
Right.
We would have like got together at one of our homes, and we'd be like, oh yeah, like doing like an interview and recording it on like, I didn't even know what it was a year ago.
Oh yeah, I didn't know. No. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, like, we wouldn't have even been a duo a year ago.
Yeah, we would be
we would be like in different cities. Like, it's just
oh my
like,
gosh, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
No,
so many things craziness.
Crazy. It's just absolutely crazy. And I think, the comparison trap starts whenever you spend too much time online, because all you see is someone else's highlight reel, and you don't and that's why, like, when I won CAG, which is still weird to say those words, I was like, okay, like, this is something that I should put on social media because I'm, I was proud of the accomplishment, and I still am. But at the same time, like, I started thinking about it, and I started, drafting this post, and it just felt so disingenuous because, I mean, as both of you know, I have tried for CAG a number of times. Like, this was not my first hurrah. I did not enter this competition this year and, bright-eyed and like, oh yeah, like, woohoo, CAG, first time I won. And full disclosure, this was my 5th try. Which, like,
I just got chills all over.
Yeah, I mean, I tried, my first audition was in college in 2016, and I tried every year since because I, like, have always really, really admired this organization and, like, really dreamed of being a part of it. And I had some pretty special sounding auditions for them over the years. But you don't see that part on social media. You don't see, people don't post about, the times that something doesn't work out, or, when they get dumped, or they, like, thrilled to announce that I fought with my mom today, like, feeling blessed that I have $5 in my checking account. Like, like, no one says stuff like that. And I think that then we become a society that doesn't know how to fail. And I think we become afraid of failing and afraid of vulnerability and afraid of exactly, like, the authenticity that you were talking about and that you were asking about. And I think that I don't think you get true authenticity unless you show up as your full self. And none of us, I mean, if anyone can get through life without failing or falling down, like, let me know, because I'm jealous and I want to know how you do that, because
no one does that.
Right? I don't know a single I mean,
I don't think.
And you scroll through Instagram and you look at everyone's page, and, like, sometimes it's just comical to me. Like, I even look at my own Instagram and, like, I'll post, like, a cute selfie, or, what I think is a cute selfie. And like, I had, like, a huge mental breakdown that morning, like, crying about whatever. And then I was just like,
Well, no, that's, like, also, like, to hear, like, the reason I feel like we're doing these interviews in between the concerts is because, like, if there were no interviews, it would be just this pre-recorded concert that people had spent hours upon hours upon hours perfecting, editing, like, making yourself feel like you are, like,
perfect.
Yeah, but I mean, this, like, I mean, you don't get that, like, insight that, like, you tried for CAG, like, 5 times, and that, like, that's just so amazing that, like, that persistence and, like, that, like, that it, like, worked out eventually, like, or, like, the people that, like, tried for 50 orchestra auditions and, like, or, like, the people that, like, it's just, like, or all the grant proposals that were written and like, all the things, like, you don't hear about, like, all the failures, and it's
you
just
hear about
like, you hear about the one thing.
Yep. Absolutely. And it's so and people have every right to celebrate their accomplishments. Like, life is hard, and I think when someone, this very, like, I've been thinking about this a lot because the world is a mess, but we have this very skewed version of, like, treating success and failure as, like, a binary, and treating success as something that is scarce or that is only, like, available to a certain subset of people. And, like, I mean, we could get much deeper into this. Like, I think a lot of it is rooted in white supremacy and in misogyny and, in thinking that certain people are inherently better than others, which is wrong on so many levels. But, like, I don't think they're, like, polar opposites. I think they're just two sides of the same coin. And, like, I think that when we succeed, we uplift other people and, like, we show them that it's possible to succeed. Like, I don't know, like, I remember seeing your duo, and you guys, like, started started Marea, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. It like got me excited, and this was before I even knew that you guys were gonna invite me to play music with you. But like I remember looking and being like, wow, like that is so cool that you guys like took this opportunity to, I mean, you guys have been friends for so long and collaborators for so long, and you just like deepened that and used this space and this time in a really beautiful way. And like actually I was in like not such a hot spot when I saw that you guys had started your duo, and it got me out of my funk, like I was like, wow, like these girls are like, you guys like killing it. And I was like, wow, like, I mean, and then I was thinking, like everyone's had such a hard time, but like Eleni and Amelia just like lifted themselves up and like put their minds and their hearts together and made it happen. And like that, seeing people, I just wish that we viewed other people's success as something that's, inspiring for us and that can move us forward, rather than as like, something that is only available to certain people. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
That we all succeed and we all fail, and it's all part of the journey, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
We really all need each other. And like this idea of like me versus the world, like that doesn't work anymore. I really don't think it does. I don't think it's a sustainable, I mean, that's what got us into this mess, right? Is, everyone thinking that, they had to grab up all the resources of the world before they were gone, and now we're like in this weird post-apocalyptic mess of like, we're trying to not die from this virus. It's like, I don't know how we lost our communal instinct along the way. It's but it seems like we're getting it back slowly, all of us, not just music, but like collectively, which I think is really beautiful. Hopefully, we'll see. 2021 bring
2021
things to everybody.
No.
Oh, well, thank you so much for tonight.
Guys.
Like, this was just such an insightful and inspiring interview. And yeah, it's been great to play with you. And just like, I feel like you've been such like a big part in making this like a collaborative process, and you have such a wonderful collaborative spirit. So like, we really appreciate that. And I've loved it.
Things you said are you. You are beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
Oh.
The last piece on the program tonight is a tune called "'Tis Autumn," and this is a very famous jazz standard, originally written in 1941, and it was first recorded by Nat King Cole. And we thought this was a very fitting tune, since we're talking about transformations and just change, and especially seasonal change as the leaves are falling and it's getting colder, and we're kind of at the tail end of autumn and going into winter.
And also, I mean, I think the shedding of the leaves on the trees is also very symbolic of shedding what we no longer need or what no longer serves us anymore. And it's just it's a reflective time for me and so many people, honestly. And I just would like to we would like to thank my dad for playing piano today on this collaboration. And this is my dad, David Katz's second appearance on the Marea and Friend concert series. And it's really great for us to be able to be joined together through music when we're kind of long distance these days, and during the time of year when Thanksgiving is approaching. And as a child, I remember listening to the Stacey Kent version of "'Tis Autumn" around the house, and it's always been a really near and dear tune to my heart, and it's really great to put this together tonight with people that are very near and dear to my heart. So, enjoy. Old Father Time checked so there'd be no doubt. Called on the north wind to come on out. Then cocked his hand so proudly to shout, la-dee-da-dee-da-dee-dum, 'tis autumn. The trees say they're tired, they've borne too much fruit. Charmed all the wayside, there's no dispute. Now shedding leaves, they don't give a hoot. Oh, la-dee-da-dee-da-dee-dum, 'tis autumn. Then the birds got together to chirp about the weather. After making the decision in birdie-like precision, they turned about and made a beeline to the south. My holding you close really is no crime. Ask the birds, the trees, and old Father Time. It's just to help the mercury climb. La-dee-da-dee-da-dee-da, 'tis autumn. Then the birds got together to chirp about the weather. After making their decision in birdie-like precision, they turned about and made a beeline to the south. My holding you close really is no crime. Ask the birds, the trees, and old Father Time. It's just to help the mercury climb. La-dee-da, oh la-la-dee-dee-da, 'tis autumn. Thank you so much to everyone who tuned in to week 11 of the Marea and Friends concert series. We'd just like to take this moment to also thank so many people that were involved in tonight's episode. We'd like to thank Ariel for being a wonderful collaborator and artist, and I would like to thank my dad once again, David Katz, for playing piano on 'Tis Autumn, and we would like to thank everyone for watching tonight and for this virtual concert community that we have created through this series. And every episode, just, it means the world to us that we have people tuning in and wanting to still enjoy live music.
Yeah, and next week we'll be back again for week 12 with members of the Acropolis Reed Quintet. So we hope that you will tune in again at 7 p.m. next Saturday. Have a great night.
Yay!